Kia ora team, my name's Kat. I'm the GM here at SARNZ, and today we are hosting Rain and Nicholas from Smartly. Smartly is a tool that I've been using in my businesses to run all of our payroll for quite some time. And we understand that all around the scaffolding industry, we've had redundancies, we've had cost cutting, and as we try to look at some more benefits for our members, different ways of working, ways that you can save time or have some of your HR management outsourced. Smartly was one that came to mind. One of the reasons is just recently we had some changes within New Zealand employment law around minimum wage allowances. We also had changes to the KiwiSaver rates that were being paid to employees. And I had a 45-minute window blocked out one afternoon to update all of those records and make sure everyone was getting paid correctly. I opened up my Smartly and it was all automated. So that was 45 minutes back in my working week. And I thought this is something that I really want to share with some of our SARNZ members to see if it can also benefit you guys. So I'm going to hand over to Nicholas and Rain and see where you guys take us.
Awesome. Thank you, Kat. I'll let Rain take it away.
Yes, thank you so much. And yeah, glad to hear that we're sort of helping you stay ahead of those changes from April 1st, make that really nice and easy. So I'm just going to share my screen. We were going to start with a little bit of a sort of company level introduction of Smartly and, you know, what we kind of do for our customers, from a high level, and then spotlight a couple of key features that we thought might be the most relevant, really. And so I guess when we're thinking about the context of Smartly and why we do a lot of what we do, part of it is because the New Zealand payroll landscape specifically is so challenging, whether it is to do with, you know, the legislation changes that are there, but also, you know, our Holidays Act is really, really complicated. And that type of legislation around leave and things can make it difficult to know that you're actually paying everything accurately, even if your intentions are really good. So yeah, with the complex legislation that we specifically have as one challenge, but then also we find that a lot of businesses up and down New Zealand might have quite manual processes supporting payroll, really. And so this is, I guess, where you were mentioning there around looking to reduce costs and things. And so part of that is the administration overhead is one of the biggest costs we see going into payroll sometimes, whether it's to do with manually doing timesheets or leave management, or even things with, you know, setting up a new hire and there being a bit of a disconnect between the hiring manager and then a payroll person scrambling last minute to get them set up because they didn't have all those files on hand or something like that. But then also just, you know, considering the amount of money that will be moving through payroll, one of your biggest expenses, right? That's you can't afford any errors there, right? So despite it being something that's so critical, it is a bit more difficult than it should be for a lot of people. And so how Smartly looks to address this really is provide something that's fully built for New Zealand legislation, makes everything nice and automated, and giving you all the support you need there. So as a bit of an introduction to us, with that in mind, we're owned and operated by Datacom, which is New Zealand's largest IT provider. And that has some great benefits for our customers in terms of helping us to keep you up to date with your IRD obligations and helping stay ahead of the curve of those legislation changes, but also in terms of infrastructure and data security as well, so that all that payroll data is nice and safe in our systems.
I'll put my hand up there. One of the best things I find about that is when I finish what I'm doing in Smartly and I push pay, everything goes through. I don't have to double handle into my banking. I don't have to double handle into my accounting system. It all just goes from Smartly, and it's a really, really great time-saving mechanism.
There you go. There we go. Have the testimony right there. So yeah, absolutely. Have those close integrations and those secure systems, and then on top of that, in terms of automating some of that administration, we have the ability to do everything from onboarding your staff and getting them to sign their contracts, manage their files, manage their timesheets and leave, and pay them accurately, all from the same platform, without having to rely on sort of third-party HR systems, to just save you as much time and mitigate risk as much as possible, really. And the final sort of standout thing to know about us from a high level is just around the support. So we are the #1 rated provider in terms of New Zealand payroll for customer support. We have a large team to try and keep those wait times nice and low and provide New Zealand-based human support over the phone and email. We've free training when you come aboard, dedicated implementation team for sort of migrating in. And for the people who do take up some of those HR functions as well, have a collaboration with Ashcroft Mitchell McGregor to support with some free legal advice too that you can access via a phone line.
And the really great thing of that is you don't have to sit on the line. So even if it is a busy day for you guys, you have the option to register your phone number and then you get called back later in the day. So again, it's another 20-minute win or 25-minute win. You don't have to be sitting there listening to hold music.
Yeah, 100%. So, and just also something to mention within that support as well is there's even the option to fully outsource your payroll to us as well. If you are looking to kind of get the payroll process completely off your hands, we have a managed team where you get assigned a sort of dedicated account manager to handle everything for you. So what I was going to jump into now was just a little bit of a feature spotlight on a couple of key things that we thought would be the most relevant. So I suppose, first of all, this is your sort of Smartly interface, and you can see there's the ability to do quite a few different things. You can manage, HR tasks, employee records, and payments all from one system, but we can customize access levels for different users as well. And so leave management's a great place to start because leave is one of the most difficult parts of New Zealand payroll.
Yeah.
And so what we've done, a big part of the way we do leave, as well as having all the legislative calculations baked into the system and good visibility everywhere, is the employee self-service and the employee app. So staff would be able to use the mobile app or a browser login like this to submit a leave request digitally. And so if we have a look at that, I can see one of my pending examples here. As a sort of admin or manager at the moment, you can see that they have the ability to basically pick the leave type that they're wanting to apply for, select a date range. So my payroll is a little bit back in time here so that you can see what happens if you're applying across public holidays. So this employee's applied for 2 weeks of leave, but you can see it's actually only applying 6 days of annual leave because it's automatically deducting those public holidays, and then both the employee and the manager will have visibility over their current balance, how this request is going to affect their balance, including what accrues between now and the holiday if you're planning things in advance, and what's projected to be left over at the end. Just makes your approval process really nice and easy. And then when I approve that, it's just going to flow directly into payroll, of course, as well. And we can see with the leave calendar feature, all of the leave that we might have put into the system or everything that's come through the app. So I can see all my approved leave, some requests that I've declined and things like that as well. And it all just sits in the calendar there.
What I really like about this is when you have team members around the country, they often have different annual leave as well. If you've got a yard in New Plymouth and you've got a yard in Auckland and you've got a yard in Wellington, they're going to have different public holidays for their city or their region. And it's all comes through on the Smartly system. It'll remind you, hey, there was this, it was Canterbury anniversary weekend, who lives in Christchurch? So it's able to help you manage your different regions as well.
Yeah, 100%. That's something that goes into the base employee setup. And it's worth mentioning that Smartly will sort of automatically apply those public holidays if it knows your employees' ordinary days of work and things like that. We often onboard people who have come from older systems, slightly more outdated systems, who find public holidays really difficult and kind of can't believe when they've come onto Smartly that, oh, it's just all sort of there. I don't have to do anything for a public holiday. So, yeah, the leave is just trying to make one of the most complex parts of New Zealand payroll as easy as possible. And you can see as well, there is a timesheet option there as well. So we have the ability to incorporate timesheets into the app if you need it. And we also have relationships with a number of other time and attendance providers as well, so that we can import timesheets if you're using another third-party clock-in system, for example.
Something that's really common in scaffolding is having time and a half if you have overtime, if you work on weekends or nights. Is that able to be incorporated quite easily, the different rates of pay for the same person?
Yeah, 100%. We can set up those different pay rates. And if you're using the Smartly timesheets, we can also set up pay rate rules for the employee, so that, after 8 hours in a day or after 40 hours in a week, it automatically applies. And if you apply for a timesheet for a public holiday, it will automatically change it to time and a half as well. So what I was going to jump into next was looking at some of those people management features and how that sits in alongside payroll. So this is quite cool because we've done it in a bit of a unique way, where we started as a payroll provider and then built out people management into the same platform. So often when you see HR functions, it might be a third-party application that then maybe will have some sort of relationship with a separate payroll provider, but very little within the same platform. So what we can do is we can actually manage some of your hiring processes to get people set up in the first place. So if I look at candidates here, I can add a brand new candidate or offer a promotion to an existing employee, for example. And if I go through a offer that I'm creating, I can put in the position we're offering, when we want them to start this role, and all of their, hours and pay rate details and that kind of thing. Select the right contract group. So, regardless of whether you have wage, salaried, contractors, we can accommodate all these different employee types quite easily. Won't get too much into the details of that today, but we can accommodate all of that. And then we can also put in, optionally a due date for when they need to accept this offer message, and actually attach their documents like employment agreements right in here, so that the staff can e-sign them through Smartly online, rather than have to, download, scan, or bring it into the office or anything like that.
Or is what we often get is photographs on their phone of just the signature page, and then you got to file that all together, or you got to figure out how to integrate that with a PDF. And it's great to have everything in one place and being able to be signed online.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So this will just all run through the system. And then the benefit of that as well is that once we've sort of reviewed and sent our offer from here, I'll just discard those changes, is that we'll be able to track the progress of all the documents that have been done. And if we're ready to confirm a candidate as well, then what it will do is it's going to pull those signed documents into the new employee profile alongside all those pay rates that we offered. And so because it's all through the same system, you've then got an employee file that has their payroll details and all their HR documentation, and it's just sitting in the one place. And then what's going to happen is I can quickly spotlight sort of a combined employee file there, so you can see how Smartly is going to manage their, their personal details, their files, all their pay rates and pay rate rules and things. Like we can go in and find all that in the one kind of cohesive location. Something else that's going to be big for the types of businesses, doing like scaffolding and rigging and those kinds of things, is training and compliance records as well, whether it's first aid certifications or working at height certifications, that kind of thing, maybe site safe, those types of things.
And could also record what the COC number and what whether it's advanced, intermediate, or elementary COCs, and when they're going to expire, I think is really important for our industry as well. So they could get a 6-week warning and a 1-month warning.
Yeah, absolutely. So we can put the expiry dates in, reference numbers and things. We can create whatever certifications you need. You just add a new one with whatever name you want. I've got some pretty funky examples in my test site from all the different industries I've done demos for. But yeah, so we can manage all of that. And that leads us nicely into the automations as well, because this is where we can set up some things, whether it's to do with renewing those licenses. So as you mentioned, you can have the 1-month warning, 6-month warning, those types of things for an expiry date. But we can also manage our induction processes here as well. So if I look at this example induction checklist I've set up, and you can see these automation types here within this part of people management. So license expiries, birthdays, work anniversaries, visa information. This one I'm looking at is inductions. So we can say, and it's an induction checklist for certain roles. So maybe I only want this to apply to these 3 positions, and I have a different template for other staff. And that, this is triggered as soon as we confirm the new candidate. And then what I can do is I can build out my checklist here. So I've just got some examples, sorting out equipment and things, a site introduction task assigned to the manager, a health and safety briefing as well. And so for each of these tasks, we can choose who this gets assigned to. So maybe the manager should be responsible for this one. And we can set sub deadlines and things. This should be done 5 days after, those sorts of things. And we can assign a task to the new hire themselves as well, to review key files and get them to confirm that they've read and understood a key policy document or an induction pack or something like that. And so once I've created this checklist once, it's going to automatically assign anytime we hire someone for that role. And we can also set up, this is a lot of people's favorite feature, for the system to do some of your chasing down and prompting for you if stuff's not getting done as well.
You're not the only one nagging. I love it.
100%. You just blame the system, blame the robots, and say, "Oh, I'm the nice guy. The system plays bad cop." So that's a little bit of an insight into how people management is going to help you just keep some of those workflows ticking along, help you stay out of the admin, the nitty gritty there, really. And then when it comes to actually paying people, it's really easy. So if we jump to run a pay here, so assuming we've approved all the leave requests that came through the app the way we did before, we've logged people's timesheets and things like that. All we're going to do is we're going to go one touch pay. That's going to pull in anyone who has standard hours. It's going to pull through any timesheets that have been approved and leave. And then we'll see here that it just pre-populates with all of those details. So you can see all the leave that's been approved, all the timesheets that were submitted. So this was the person who we approved a leave request for as well. And then you can see it's also automatically applied those statutory holidays. And if you're ever, unsure about why a rate is what it is, you even get these really transparent leave calculation breakdowns in the system too. So it explains exactly why it's sort of paying at this rate. We'll save that.
Often fantastic to share to your staff when one of the things that I found when I moved to this system we relied on a very old system back in the day, and if somebody took a week of annual leave, we just paid them at what does that 5 days look like from their total salary, which is actually a lot more nuanced than that. And so all of a sudden we were getting slightly less or slightly higher pay rates because of what they'd worked for 12 weeks beforehand. You could go into that little question mark, you had all of the workings right there, and you could share that directly with your staff member and go, this is why it is the rate that it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just going to be keeping you in line with legislation there, because that's one of the things is that, you might just assume, oh, we're just paying them their normal rate. is fine, like that seems fair, right? But just because of the way the legislation is written, even though you're not trying to do anything wrong, you could technically be non-compliant. So this is just going to help make it that, you know, you stay the right side of the line without having to put in all this extra time and effort to manually check everything. But yeah, so that's basically going to be your process. One touch pay. If you need to make any revisions, you can. We can generate checking reports as well. So this just brings up a whole series of reports. We can customize which reports appear in the pay run field if you just want to quickly glance over anything. So, I mean, you know, for example, like a pay run roundup like this. But yeah, more or less, it's just going to be one touch, check it, and then we can go ahead and process that pay run. And as Kat said, you know, then we'll integrate with IRD and also with the banks. So we have relationships with all the major banks and things, so we can automate a lot of those payments without you having to take another step. And we'll sort out all your IRD filing as well. So we'll just submit that, and your payroll is done. So in terms of a feature spotlight, that was pretty much all I had prepared, but anything else you think might be worth spotlighting or going into in a little bit more detail potentially?
Well, just for those that are online, we do have the Q&A feature. If you do want to ask any questions, I'll let that run, and I'll just, for you guys, bonuses, you're able to do a cash, maybe if you get a Christmas bonus, you can do that through the payroll system.
Yeah, 100%. So I'll just jump to the next period. You know, we can just add a one-off payment here, for example, and if we call this a Christmas bonus, I can put a default amount, but I can change it for different people, have these options of does it get included in, you know, leave calculations. So maybe because this is like a one-time discretionary, maybe not. We select who that's going to apply to, and then we can tweak these amounts for those people as well. So maybe Kate gets a bit extra.
Yeah, Kate's done well this month. And probably the other one was gifting holidays. You know, if you've had somebody with you for 10 years, or you might have some other reason why you gift a week's holiday to somebody, how would you go about that?
Yep, so we have long service leave as a sort of standard leave type within Smartly that can be just automatically earned after a set period of time. But then we've also recently introduced like a gifted leave and purchased leave feature, so that you can add those additional leave entitlements as well if that's been arranged. Yeah, so it's just a sort of standard leave type that you can set up from within the payroll settings.
Fantastic.
Special leave.
Well, we've had no questions through from the audience, so I might call it there, unless there's anything you want to add, Nicholas. That was awesome, Rain.
Rain's covered it nicely.
He absolutely has. He absolutely has. Well, thank you, guys. I want to thank you for the time that you've given us today, and that what was a really quick and dirty overview of your guys' tool, a tool that I think is myself really good. I've used it for teams of 3 right up to teams of 25. I know of yards that are using this for 70 plus employees. So it is a really, really fantastic tool. And I know that in my own business, I've saved myself a lot of time using this, and just the opportunity that you can do it in-house yourself, or you can pass it into the in-house team. And if your business is running lean through this season. So yeah, thank you guys for highlighting this for our members today. And we'll hopefully see you guys on the circuit soon.
Cool. And if you want to reach out, you know, do a one-on-one demonstration and whatnot, me and Rain will both be available. My email is nicholas@smartly.co.nz. and Rain's will be rain@smartly.co.nz, RAINE. So yeah, more than happy to have a one-on-one demonstration if people want to.
Yep. Absolutely. And I will
100%.
forward this out. I'll forward the recording as well as your guys' contact details after this webinar.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Kat.
Thank you.
Cheers,
All right.
team. Enjoy your lunchtime.
Bye.
Cheers. Catch you later.